kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just remember. Just remember. Just remember. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just remember. Just remember. Just remember. Just remember.
From Kentucky Speedway, the Racers Elite Next Gen Cup Series is ready to go playoff racing right here in the Bourbon State. Good evening, everyone, and welcome here to the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth, where tonight Shane Lake and myself, Dave Regal, will be bringing you all of the action here as the regular season is wrapped up and we're left with just 12 drivers here in the playoffs. We're excited to bring you all the action. We know you're excited to see all the action right here on Sim Racing Media, from the green flag to the checkered flag, as you see every week. Shane, here we are at the beginning of the playoffs, and I'll tell you what, man, I cannot be happier to be up here sharing this booth with you tonight.
Hey, I couldn't be happier to be up here myself, man. Coming over from Eldora with these guys. They just finished up their Truck Series season, regular season a couple of nights ago. And now we've got the playoffs starting with the Next Gen cars, and we are in for a heavyweight fight between John Ross and Brandon Honeycutt. These two guys have traded wins all season long, and we're about to see the final few rounds of this extravaganza as it goes down to Daytona in the middle of December. I am excited to see this one.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've been sticking with these drivers all season long, and You know, after 7 races, only 2 drivers have wins in this series. John Ross with 4 of them, and, of course, Brandon Honeycutt with the 3-piece and some scrimp. I mean, that 7-race regular season, it just seems to have blown right past us. And without our, you know, unless you're really paying attention, you didn't even realize that those were the only 2 winners this season. It's been incredible to watch this, which means that a lot of these drivers are hungry for a win and need to keep up with the points.
Yeah, they really do. But John Ross and Brandon Honeycutt are not going to make it easy. Brandon picking up the last win at Auto Club. But you got to figure John Ross is going to be the favorite for the next couple of weeks. With his 2 wins earlier this season at Kansas and Homestead, these 2 tracks, Kentucky and coming up in a couple of weeks under the lights at Texas, drive a lot like those other 2 tracks. So he's got to be the favorite going into this.
You know, you say that, and of course, there it was, the old mic mute. But, you know, all things considered, when you start to look at these drivers and where we sit with this season, you can only assume that we're about to see the heat get turned up to, you know, just the side of broil. In fact, just looking down on the racetrack now, looks like Jonathan Leach in the old SRM number 21 has decided to come out and put some laps down. That's cute. We don't see him all season. He checks in. He's kind of like Quebec. Quebec wants to break away from Canada, but still wants to keep the money.
Sounds like the Montreal Canadiens in the NHL. They show up for a while, you know, they start off well, and then it just falls apart come playoff time.
Well, Jonathan Leach here out of Alpena, Michigan, of course, formerly of Shreveport, Louisiana, out here laying laps down. These are some of the first laps that we've seen out of him this season, so he's finally had the time to get into the cockpit and get himself cranked up. And I'll tell you what, can't wait to see what he does. And speaking of other teammates here, we see Alan Bergen. He went slow time in qualifying. But let's take a peek here at those championship standings, shall we? Of course, we see John Ross now. He's going to lead these points coming in with 4 wins. Brandon Honeycutt with 3 wins. Diego Rodriguez has the 20 machine out of from the Outsiders stable. He's going to be in 3rd. Ed Jurgen, Andrew Teft, Shay Cox, Brendan Wilcox, Kirby Wainscott, William Skinner, Truth Hoke, Dennis Kane, and Larry Koblenz. And for some reason, SDK has decided that his name is Koblenz.
I'm going to tell you right now, Truth Hoke is going to be one of the underdogs in this.
Oh, absolutely.
As much as I've seen Truth run these last few races here and there, Truth knows how to get it done. It's just a matter of, can he get around both John Ross and Brandon Honeycutt and put it together? Because those 2 guys are going to be the brick wall everyone else in this championship has to drive through.
Yeah, and it's going to be a tough drive tonight here at Kentucky Speedway. Of course, Dave Regal and Shane Lake checking in with you tonight as we're here for round number 1. I say that because right now it's 73 degrees in sim air, but that track temperature is 109 degrees. That is just over that little Maginot line. And basically, these cars are going to be loose as a goose in the early goings of this race. And I mean, with 105 laps, we're looking at a long time before those tires start to, you know, really get that cheese grater effect on them.
Yeah, and with cold tires on these next-gen cars, it will be a handful early and often for these guys. But, you know, if they can survive the first 5 or 6 laps once the temperatures come up, you know, they'll be fine for probably, I want to say, 35, 40 laps or so before they really start noticing the drop-off in times. I mean, fast time right now in qualifying was a 31:22 with Ross behind the wheel, but we're going to be nowhere near that come race time, and it's just going to keep dropping off. We'll see it drop probably by 2 seconds by the end of the runs.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that happens historically here at Kentucky where we start to see those huge fall-offs because, I mean, you know, with 105 laps, we know that there's a couple of drivers that are going to try to squeeze all of that fuel out of the car and try to make this a one-stop race. My money would definitely be on the 98 of Andrew Teft. And, you know, there's a couple of other usual suspects that try to do that. But, you know, I guess there's only one thing we can do, and that's wait and see and find out. As drivers being called to their cars now, John Ross hopping in. He's going to be on the pole position as we pull up that starting grid. John Ross and Dennis Kane going to occupy the front row, with Ross being not only your points leader, wins leader, and now, of course, pole sitter this evening. Dennis Kane going to sit to his outside. Then we have Brandon Honeycutt and Curtis Ecker in row number 2, with Andrew Teft and Diego Rodriguez in row number 3. Row 4 going to feature Aaron Marquis and the brother of Andrew Teft, Alex Teft. He's there in the number 43, starting on the outside of row number 4. Truth Hoke and Ed Jurgen going to be rounding out your starting top 10, while Leroy Koblenz and Kirby Wainscott hold things together in 11th and 12th position. Row number 7 going to be Brendan Wilcox and Bill Skinner, while Jonathan Leach, of course, our chief cook and bottle washer here at Sim Racing Media, he's going to be starting on the inside of row number 8 alongside of Lee Campbell. Shay Cox and our teammate and our good friend Alan Bergen, they're going to be in row number 9, with your top 20 being made up of Troy Thomas and Kensley Smith. Starting shotgun on the field is going to be Kensley Smith, as it looks like Rob Yost. Nope. Just kidding. Rob Yost has hopped into the car, so he's going to be starting shotgun on the field tonight. I'd be curious to see what kind of a performance we get out of him, especially having to get through all of this traffic. And you and I have already talked about the times that these guys are laying down. And we've set the over-under for cars left on the lead lap at 8. And I took the under, and you have taken the over.
Yeah, again, me making predictions Thursdays and Fridays over on Snowman Multimedia, making picks for the NFL and college games. I feel confident that there will at least be 9 cars left on the lead lap, but that's still saying something because the pace these guys are going to be setting is going to be unbelievable. And speaking of pace, I believe the pace car is about to exit stage left.
The iRacing.com pace car is coming into turn number 3. We see those beautiful green walls. I've always thought that was a really unique look here at Kentucky. But 105 laps the scheduled distance. John Ross with control of the field. The iRacing.com pace car peels on down pit road. That means, folks, the only thing that's left to do is it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab your bourbon, a shot glass, and settle in. Race fans, it's show time! Green flag, Honey Buns, and Brandon Honeycutt in the air as we go 2 wide down the front stretch into turn number 1.
Yeah, and it looks like that 44 car is hauling it down into turn 1. Everyone's going to have to be careful. These tires are not going to be up to temp to at least another 3-4 laps. But those top 2 cars have decided to check it out already, with Ross and Honeycutt leading them down into turn 3. I am not surprised they're out there already.
Here's the thing, and here's what makes this unique. I mean, we talked about this earlier. These are the only 2 drivers in Ross and Honeycutt that have picked up any wins this season. And oddly enough, they're already showing us why they lead the points and why they've come in here 1 and 2. They're running 1 and 2 exactly as they are in the point standings. Dennis Kane starting to creep in from just behind the 13, but still a pretty good gap between the 2 of them, about 0.2 of a second. As, of course, we pull up those timing and scoring numbers here on the left side of your screen. All of those drivers going to be highlighted in blue, who are playoff drivers, all 12 of them. As we've got a little side-by-side action between Diego Rodriguez and Aaron Marquis in the 41. Now Marquis is alongside the double nickel of Truth Hoke.
Yeah, Truth running that red Coca-Cola scheme, it looks like, here tonight, and that's a good-looking hot rod. No, it's Red Wrangler.
It's Wrangler.
I'm so used to seeing that bright of a red as being Coca-Cola, but he decided to switch it up from the truck he ran Tuesday night, which was white on the back. This thing is bright red.
I'll tell you what, I have loved that paint scheme all season long. It's easy to pick out. It's easy to see, where Truth Hoke is as we cross the start-finish line. John Ross continues to get faster as he went from a 31.62 to a 31.50, and now Jonathan Leach with the fast time. Holy crap, at 31.44 seconds that time.
Jeez, what do you find in that Mustang? You got a little afterburner in that thing or something there, dude?
I've seen this man drive, and it's why he let me drive in Florida. Apparently, speed limits are more of a suggestion in Alpena, Michigan.
Oh, they usually do about 75, 80 down those interstates.
We go on board with John Leach, who just laid fast time down, and now we switch right over to Andrew Teft, who he lays fast time down out of Hope Valley, Rhode Island. Sorry, John, you're yesterday's news unless you can beat Andrew Teft's time at 31.37 seconds. Alex Teft at a 31.44, just behind his brother. We look here to the low side. Our camera operator going to be swaying around here with Andrew Teft leading Alex Teft right now as looks like finally they've decided to settle it down. 31:37 going to remain our fast time on the racetrack for the time being.
Yeah, and I think right now everyone's just going to want to settle in, let the tires come up, log the laps, get pit stops in, as I guess the people in the truck decide to stand backwards. Right now, I think you got a little bit loose there.
Just a bit outside for the looseness as we work lap number 7 of 105. We want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. The Allen Experience saying that John Leach is like Walker, Texas Ranger. I didn't realize we were going to see a roundhouse kick tonight.
Just as long as you don't see another fist underneath the beat.
It is what it is.
Pretty much.
A lot of great action on the racetrack tonight. We take a quick peek up here to the 4. There's Dennis Kane, 3 wide in the middle. He's got Andrew Teff to the low side. My goodness. We're going to go up here to the blimp and watch the 4 trying to hold on, but the 92 and the 98 too strong for Dennis Kane at this point in the race. But there's a whole bunch of playoff implications right around here. And in the middle of this is Aaron Marquis and Curtis Ecker. Now, yeah. Curtis Ecker, had a great season last season. He comes in here tonight having missed the playoffs, but he's still out here racing for his life as he and fellow non-playoff driver Aaron Marquis duke it out in a battle for 4th position, as now Marquis has to hold off Ed Jurgen.
Yeah, Ed right now, he's looking up to the high side. He's been making this high side work for that car, which is, saving a bit of tire. It's just now, he has to be able to get around some of these non-playoff guys in order to keep these playoff hopes alive early on. I mean, granted, we're still, 100 laps away from the end of this, but still, it's good to have more cars as a buffer just in case something happens.
Taking a look right here at out of the rear bumper of Aaron Marquis. Right now, he's got himself kind of in a nice little spot here. He's got about 0.3 of a second. Just kidding to Diego Rodriguez, but all of a sudden now we can see he and Ed Jurgen getting ready to go at it. There's Jurgen on the high side. He's, it seems as though that Jurgen has found a little bit of speed locked up there in that middle groove.
I swear, as we were on board, I was hearing somebody shifting. I think they're already starting to shift with these tires, which is the only way to keep the RPM up. And also, these cars react to the shifting by actually, loosening up. So that could be how these guys are getting around here so quick, because we got one in the wall behind everybody.
Yeah, I didn't see who that was hitting the wall. Maybe we can see
black and red. It was that black and red car.
Well, that narrows it down. That's like going to a Phillies game and saying the guy in the pinstripes. That would be the 8 of Bill Skinner. Skinner?
No.
Skinner? We used to have a guy, Michael Skinner. I think his name was Michael, but not Mike Skinner. Anyway, Michael Skinner in the SNN Cup League, and let's just say that he wasn't the safest driver to be around on the racetrack, and more often than not, at least in my Discord channel, all I would hear was people screaming, Skinner!
Yeah, that sounds about right for somebody like that.
Well, Seymour, here you are in the 8 car, chasing down the 13 of Brandon Honeycutt. Glad to see you could pull that off.
Right. Glad to see we're already getting people lapped. I mean, it didn't take long. Yeah, it's the ebb and flow of Kentucky. Some of these guys have huge plans, but right now the biggest plan is, I guess, John Ross is going to make everyone try to acknowledge him as the one true champion by the time this is over.
Heather H. in the YouTube.com live chat saying, go number 20. That, of course, Diego Rodriguez, who we were just talking about. He's still here battling it out with Curtis Ecker. And I'll tell you what, Ecker is one of those drivers that you can never really count out, overall. He's one of these guys that week after week we see him putting the work in. And kind of like that guy from the 600-pound life, the doctor saying, you got to do the work. Curtis Ecker always out here doing the work, and so is Ed Jurgen. And Jurgen's Lawn Care's number 92 Chevrolet Camaro has just been up there fighting all season long. He definitely earned this playoff spot.
Yeah, he did. It's, hopefully at some point he's able to put everything together and try to pick up a win to help his contention because, I feel that the only way anyone's going to have anything for the top two is to keep them from winning. And I don't know right now if anything can happen with that. But, 4 races, counting this one, anything is likely to happen. So if anyone can do it, like I said, there are a few underdogs. Kirby Wainscott, Ed Jurgen, Diego I'm probably going to put in that list as well. We could be surprised yet.
Yeah, I mean, Jurgen's best finishes all season long were at Phoenix, which was 3rd, and back at Charlotte Motor Speedway on the Roval, where he finished on the podium. Besides that, he's got a 4th place finish last week at Auto Club Speedway, but he's never finished outside the top 10. His worst finishes are both 9th, and one was at Vegas and the other was Talladega. So Jurgen is definitely, I would start to maybe tap him as the dark horse candidate, just as the 42 of Leroy Koblenz hurls it in underneath as he's ready to start throwing haymakers at the 4.
Man, he chucked that so far inside, I thought it was Pedro Martinez throwing chin music.
I'm telling you right now, that was filthy. Filthy. I love it. I love it. Here we are suddenly in a battle for 5th position. Sometimes these races get themselves, strung out, but right now things are very tight on the racetrack as we watch the double nickel of Truth Hoax start to harass the rear bumper of Brendan Wilcox. And if he harasses him any harder, someone's going to have to call HR.
Yeah, that's a meeting I'm not going to want to have on Friday morning.
Oh! Contact between the 43 and the 55. They managed to keep it together. Let's see if we can quick run that back. Here they go coming into one. Oh.
Well, the good news is it wasn't, tire to tire. It looked a lot more like door to door.
I'm going to see if I can catch that. See if they had this on the nose cam. Here we are coming through the trial. We'll watch this again. Just a little bumpy bump. Kept it moving.
Yeah, nothing real bad about it. Maybe a couple of donuts left on the doors. I mean, nothing serious.
I always thought that was a cool look in a race car when you know that you got, up against somebody, but you don't know who it was because all they did was left a skid mark on the side of your car. It's kind of like, never mind. I'm going to leave it alone.
As far as I'm concerned, if all the damage is on the right side of the car, you are moving forward. If it was on the left side of the car, you got used up.
Look at this mess back here with the 4 of Dennis Kane leading the way right now. And now, as I say that, the 42 of Leroy Koblenz. This has to be the messiest area on the racetrack right now. Side by side goes the 15 of Kensley Smith and Andrew Teff. They're double file. The 92 of Ed Jurgen has now suddenly slid back to 13th position. And in a view that only the blimp could catch, we were 3 wide and sometimes nearly 4 on that last lap. And, of course, Shay Cox here looking from behind in what has to be nervous, Whoa!
I think he got a little help on that one. I think he had a little assistance. Who was that just went around him?
We're going to take a look here because I can almost guarantee Shay Cox isn't going to be happy.
Oh, no. Obviously not.
Watch the 7 right here, right in the middle of your screen.
And that was the boss. That was the boss.
Oh, but let's see if we can get that maybe from the boss man's perspective. That was the 86. Oh, it was Netco.
Yeah, it looks like a little bit of net code on that one.
We're going to check this one more time, folks, because we want to make sure that everybody gets a good view of that. Jonathan did not do this on purpose.
No.
We can see the net code right here. They never... Oh, see, now that looks ugly.
Yeah.
All right, we'll try it from here. Let's try this one.
Yeah, see if we can get one off the roof cam or something here.
I got it. Now we'll get it nice and perfect. Oh.
Yeah, that's net code, and then he got into him.
Ay vey. Well, let's scurry away from that disaster as fast as we can.
Speaking of scurrying away, I think that's what the 44 is trying to do.
He's all alone. He just turned around and he said, I made my family disappear.
He must be feeling like Jelly Roll and MGK right now because he's on a lonely road.
I do not get the reference.
Their new song.
Sure.
Everyone else will get it, trust me.
Oh, so what you're saying is I'm not cool enough?
No, dude, if you don't... I'm not saying you ain't cool enough. I'm just saying it's on the radio all the time, dude.
Oh, I should probably know that, working for a radio station. Whoops. To be fair, we're a classic rock format.
It's going to be one of those nights, ladies and gentlemen.
It can't be any worse than it was last week. At least we've got our act together this week as we watch Alex Teff to the inside now of Kensley Smith. Kensley Smith running in sixth position, holding his position for the time being. But look at this angry pack of Hornets behind Alex Teft.
Yeah, that's a lot of sheet metal back there.
That's a lot of angry Hornets. And they're all after Alex Teft's honey.
Oh, yeah, we'll go with that.
I just heard somebody on race radio that... Let's see if we can find out what they're talking about here.
Wait a minute, did we just have a Mario Kart reference?
I just heard a Mario Kart reference on race radio.
I have no idea why.
That can only be bad, so we're gonna back things up pretty far here and see if we might... Oh. All right, we're going to go right here and break in on the 83 or the 10.
I think it's a 10 because he was the one that kind of washed up from what I was seeing.
Well, here we go. Watch the 10. There's the we're trying to get as many cars in this view as possible.
And he checks up to avoid the 41, and the car just straightened out on him.
Yeah, that was not planned.
No, but the thing about it is there's enough of a gap to where he could actually shoot it and not get hit.
New driver in 7th position, Rob Yost Jr., who started dead last, as we talked about a little while ago, was all the way up into now 8th position. He was just in 7th.
Yeah, that Red Bull King apparently channeling his inner Max Verstappen because he's starting to make his way back up.
I don't want to jinx it. Just understand that look at the timing tower, look at the time of the race, and look what time it is right now. And, folks, you need to understand how good these drivers are right now. Oh, and by the way, let's take a quick look here at those the last times. These guys are still running fast as all get out.
Yeah,
except for Alan Bergen, who's, slower than molasses in January out here.
Yeah, Shea Cox literally just laid down the slowest time, but a lot of these guys are still running mid to high 32s to semi-low 33s, so they're still getting it done out there, but, 33 laps on these tires, the wear is starting to come into play. And speaking of getting worn out, I think the 44 is starting to get a little bit worn out here because he's not pulling away as fast as everyone thought he would.
Well, one car already Down a lap now. Alan Bergen. What's going on with Curtis? Curtis Ecker and Shay Cox suddenly decide to peel on down pit road.
I think they might be trying to split this race into thirds.
Good for them. Proud of you.
I mean, you got to figure, you got to do something different to end up trying to win the race. Because if you do what the leader's doing, you're just going to run behind them. As we look at a 0-0 here.
Yeah, well, I don't even know what to say about Alan, except that I love him. He's my brother from another mother, and you don't understand how serious I take that term for him.
And this will probably be the only screen time he gets.
Well, you know, you got to show everybody. Everybody's a winner in my book.
The participation trophies are real.
No, his is the Alan Bergen Bonehead Move of the Race trophy. We hand one out every week.
Is that like the pit road award that Benny Parsons used to hand out?
Yes, it's also kind of like the Galloping Gobbler. Can I just say that before I die, speaking of the Galloping Gobbler, while we've got green flag pit stops underway, Dennis Kane's down pit road, Kirby Wainscott and Ed Jurgen are coming off pit road. Alan Bergen still holding on there. Somehow he got passed by a guy who was sitting still on. You know you're slow if a guy on pit road passed you while he was getting his tires changed.
That's like...
Here comes our race leader, John Ross, down pit road. Leroy Koblenz right along with him.
Yeah, that's going to cycle some... That's going to end up cycling Diego up to the front. So, again, it looks like a lot of these guys are going to try to make this a two-stop race.
You know, as much as I love Diego Rodriguez, and believe me, I do, his paint scheme doesn't do it for me in this league like he does in my Tuesday night truck series.
Well, that's because his paint scheme in this series isn't promoting you.
Oh, you think that's what it is?
I think so.
Oh, could be. Speaking of which, now, you know, it is a Spirit Airlines paint scheme that says Howdy Dave Regal on it, but Spirit Airlines... Is that going to be a thing? Because they did just file for bankruptcy, and I looked at prices for spring training flights, and right now they're nearly $400 on Spirit. I could hitchhike.
Oh, I don't know. I really don't know much about the airline world because, quite frankly,
Yeah, you're allowed to be
As long as one's not coming down on my head, I'm happy.
Well, I'd be curious to see what that restructuring looks like. Anyway, back to the race. Brendan Wilcox just cycled. What's that?
I'd say that's a hell of a restructuring.
Oh, yeah. Move the yellow plane to the other hangar and don't tell the bank it's there.
What is this, GTA?
Kind of. I feel like if an airline files for bankruptcy, that they do just like they quick put like tarps over their airplanes. No, we don't have any of these assets you think we do. No, it's fine.
Yeah, they just send it over to Benny's Custom and Works and get it repainted. That's fine.
They send it to Los Santos Customs.
Yeah.
Brendan Wilcox right now is side by side in a battle with Brandon Honeycutt. Now there's just 7 cars that haven't come down for green flag pit stops as we currently work lap number 41 of 105. Buddy, listen, we're nearly at halfway through this race, and I'm not trying to jinx it, so I'm going to knock on wood and everything else that's near me if I must. But in 21 minutes, we've already gone 41 laps.
You know, that's not surprising with how good these guys are, and it seems like the last 7 cars to come down are trying to split this in half. Now, I think Brandon Honeycutt just came down pit road, so he might be trying to extend his pit stop for the second time around to be a splash and go late.
Could be a splash and go late as we see Honeycutt coming down pit road. He qualified third, so he's got a pretty long drive down to his pit stall here. I'd be curious to see what the tire choice is here under green as we pull it here into the pit box, and let's watch the right sides go up. And now, as we wait for the car to drop down, we know that this is going to be a 4-tire stop with a tank of Go Fast in there.
Yep.
And Lee Campbell, not related to Glenn Campbell, I'm told. Lee Campbell, not a Rhinestone Cowboy, going to be all in this mix. So once these drivers get their pit service together, we'll be able to recycle through our standings, and that should put John Ross back atop the pile.
Yeah, and he's been flying with that fresh set of tires he's had on. But now the question is, where is Brandon Honeycutt going to cycle out? And it looks like about 8th right now, as it looks like Wilcox, Teff, Kenzie Smith, and Lee are about ready to come off pit road.
John Ross now with a 5.4 second lead over Diego Rodriguez. You know, that's one of the interesting things that I think that comes out of green flag pit stops. If you're not on top of one another when you come in for your pit stop, the gap is suddenly just like an ocean's distance.
Yeah, it is. And I think the biggest thing is also getting off and on pit road. And quite frankly, John Ross nailed it, and he was actually able to extend his lead a little bit. So every little bit helps. I mean, you don't think these guys are pushing. They truly are.
Diego Rodriguez right now runs in second position. He's starting to close in a little bit here as he's now 0.2 closer to John Ross, who's now just 5.14 seconds away. One of our other close battles on the racetrack is the 92 of Ed Jurgen chasing down Brendan Wilcox, and he's basically just back here, pestering him.
Yeah, he's just getting him a little nervous in that rear view mirror right now. And that's one of the things about Ed is he's been trying to get that high side to work, but you also notice he's kind of arcing it down a little bit into the corner and then just letting the car swing out. So he's trying to save a little bit more tire by running the car maybe half a groove to a groove up. As I say that, he decides to shut me up and say, hey, I'm running the bottom in 3 and 4. But at least in 1 and 2, he's actually saving a little bit of tire.
Now, I'm just looking over here at timing and scoring, but it appears that Shay Cox has decided that he wanted to beat everybody to the beer stand, as Alan Bergen would say.
You mean to tell me Alan's actually going to finish ahead of somebody?
Ooh, you're cold. That's like witch's breast cold.
Oh, he'll give it to me eventually if I end up in one of these races, I'm sure.
Yeah, but he's not near as articulate as us.
True. I mean, come on here. He ran the dirt race at Eldora, and Matt Mettler beat him.
Excuse you?
Matt Mettler, in his first ever dirt race at Eldora in Racers Elite, finished inside the top 5, well ahead of Allen.
But Alan is our SRM mud puppy.
Exactly.
I might need to have a conversation with Alan, much the same as one was had with me when I realized I wasn't that great of a driver, but I was a better broadcaster.
I could see that. And you say I'm cool. Okay, I see how it is.
Well, folks, that was the magic of the cough switch.
Right.
See, from behind the curtain, I can make my broadcast partner giggle like a little girly man.
Since when did I become Arnold Schwarzenegger?
No, that was from Hans and Franz from Saturday Night Live.
Oh, I haven't seen that skit yet, but I'll put it on my to-do list.
Buddy, if you didn't see it, it's like 30 years old. I mean, like, oh my
Dude,
God, I have too much gray in my beard for this.
Dude, they still have the Blues Brothers on YouTube, okay?
Love it.
Right.
Are you a vegetarian or a vegan?
No.
Did you see the TikTok video yet about the British kid cracking up the news crew?
No, I didn't.
We'll get to that in a minute, but right now the 26 of Brendan Wilcox is right in the middle of, whoa. Easy there, Aaron Markey. That was scary.
That was a little bit dicey.
Yeah, you couldn't slap chop it into pieces that small. Good Lord. Brendan Wilcox now getting around the 19, securing away that top 5 for the time being. But let's watch the 41. He's going to go side by side now with the 19, tucks in, and now swings low. Sweet Chariot getting right underneath the number 19, Jack Daniels Hancola Chevrolet.
Jack Daniels and Coke, the typical bar order on a Friday night.
Is there a problem with that?
No, I've had a few.
Me too. Tonight.
Just not. I was about to say, just not tonight.
Oh. Doctor told me I should drink moderately. I told him I'll pick up a case of moderately on the way home.
Did you confuse moderately from Mortatello?
Oh, you're never going to guess what I bought then. Here, you know what? I should have been using the translator app on my phone.
Okay.
The 10 of Kirby Wainscott starting to creep into the rear bumper of Ed Jurgen in the Jurgen's Lawn Care Chevrolet Camaro. There's a pretty good mix of manufacturers in the field tonight. In fact, we can go right here and check out those car logos on the left-hand side of your screen. Couple of, 3 Fords, Toyota, 4 Chevys, Toyota. And by the way, I hope that you folks out there in YouTube land aren't one of those people, but I do not respect people that call it a Yoda.
God, no. The only time I'm ever mentioned the word Yoda, the only time I'm ever mentioned anything as a Yoda is if I'm talking about that 3-foot tall green Jedi from Star Wars.
I thought that was yogurt from Spaceballs.
I got nothing.
Spaceballs, the movie?
I know what you're talking about.
Spaceballs, the lunchbox.
I know what you're talking about. I just got nothing to compete with that.
Of course not. That's why I'm number 1. Don't you forget it. Jonathan Leach asking me, do I even want a job? I was told to get my ass back in line. Here I am, doing my job. A bang of the wall from the 41 of Aaron Marquis. Hey.
That might hurt just a little bit.
Only for a minute. Thank goodness for our good friends over at Tylenol.
Yeah, he'll need a little bit of extra strength for that one.
Maybe I've asked you this question before, but do you know what Toyota made before they made cars?
If I remember correctly, wasn't it actually bikes or motorcycles?
Nope.
What was it?
Looms to make clothing with. And fabric.
So like a yarn loom. Okay, I know what
Yeah,
you're
like a
talking
loom,
about.
yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Toyota, when spelled, when Americanized, is T-O-Y-O-D-A. T-O-Y-O-O-D-A. Anyway. But,
you did not just go there.
I did. I'm so proud of myself right now.
God help me.
T-O-Y-O-D-A. It's catchy.
God, next thing you know, Father O'Shaughnessy is going to come in here.
Aye. Watch the 60 of Lee Campbell get right underneath Truth Hoke and just sliced away at those Wranglers. He definitely hemmed the heck out of those denim jeans.
Yeah, he took about a couple inches off the boot cut.
I do like the boot cut. I don't have a butt, if you will. Boot cut's the only thing that even makes it look close.
So you got Hank Hill-itis. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, I have to sit on implants like Hank Hill.
I tell you what.
I'll tell you what. I was out there in the yard grilling when I wanted to make sure I was using propane and propane accessories because you want to taste the meat, not the heat. How hard are you smashing your cough button right now?
More like smashing my wheel with my forehead.
Watch the 98 right now of Andrew Teft. We're going to go on board. He's got a snoot full of the 92. And near contact between the 92 and the 19 of Curtis Ecker. Curtis is definitely going to need a Jack Daniels and Cola at the end of this piece.
A little bit of contact between Teft and the 92, it looks like there's. Andrew's trying to get around him any means possible, even clip the apron a little bit. It's getting dicey in this pack right now.
I mean, you got to figure where Andrew Teft is right now. You know, he's watching all of this unfold in front of him, and the last thing he wants to do is end his evening early and, you know, perhaps jeopardize his playoff run because of a couple of boneheaded moves on lap number 62 of 105. We're nearly 40 to go.
Unbelievable how fast this is clicked off. And we still got a pit stop to go for most of these guys, if not all of them.
I love Thursday nights.
I know, right?
Thursday nights, and this is no word of a lie about these drivers, but these drivers are what invigorate me to get through the rest of my broadcast week because, as you know, I've called other leagues that, don't run near as clean as this league does. And, during the regular NASCAR season, I'm calling 3 nights of 100% length races. This league is like my breath of fresh air that gets me back in that mood. Oh, watch the, oh, God!
A kiss of the wall, but he saved it.
Let's watch tonight's save of the night. Oh, my.
Andrew Teft was living on a prayer sending that one in, but the 19 paid the price.
You know what's odd? I didn't hear a single person on race radio apologize. They just acknowledged it for what it was, a racing deal.
It was, and it was a crazy save, but unfortunately, those 3 cars, the 92, the 19, and the 98, all paid for that one. Now, you got to wonder, as the 19 slaps the wall again, how much damage was done to the 19, and also, does Teft have any flat spots on that left front tire?
Let's see if we can go right in here to the cockpit of the 19 and just watch his hands, see where he is right now. Now, some of this may be his already preset offset. Gonna have to wait till Curtis gets on the backstretch, but here we are running along with Curtis Ecker. And we look here from his helmet cam. I don't see any. Whoa.
I don't see that much out of it.
No, but the amount of turbulence that he was in tells me how much aero push there is in that car.
Oh, there's a little bit more
contact again
contact.
between the 19 and the 41 now.
Yeah, throw the Red Bull car in the mix there as well. He got into it. It is getting dicey up here.
We don't usually see pushing and shoving like this. I mean, right now, these are kids trying to get to the front of the line to see Santa Claus.
Well, Santa's done checked out, and he's enjoying the view behind him.
I mean, if this were real life and these were real cars, it wouldn't be a race to see Santa Claus. It would be a race to meet Jesus.
Yeah, well, somebody's going to end up hitting the fence and thinking they saw Dale. That one was for you, Metler.
He was just sitting there grinning behind his sunglasses and mustache.
That was for you, Metler.
That's my boy. Rob Yost Jr., he's going to be the first one out of that group, and he was just possibly scared to death by what just happened in front of him, as he's going to bring the 83 pit side. That's going to be the money stop for him, as we're just about at 35 to go this time by.
Yeah, I think he needs 4 first good years and feeling a first change of underwear. If old Cletus T. Judge to be believed.
I'm with him 100%, but right now your race leader is John Ross with a 5.4 second lead over Diego Rodriguez. Brandon Honeycutt runs in third with Brendan Wilcox and Leroy Koblenz in fifth. playoff drivers are in your top 5. Then we have Kensley Smith and Lee Campbell. Andrew Teft, Curtis Ecker, and Ed Jurgen make up your top 10. I'm Dave Regal, and he's Shane Lake. We'll be right back. But don't go away as we go NASCAR side-by-side right here on Sim Racing Media.
From high above Kentucky Speedway here in the 25,000 Memorial Broadcast booth, I'm Shane Lake. He's Dave Regal. And right now we've got Brandon Wilcox sitting as our leader of 12 positions through this green flag pit stop cycle. And we are, I can't believe I'm saying this, but are we seriously inside about 30 to go?
Buddy, you're not hallucinating. 41 minutes and now just 30 to go.
Wow. As Alan Bergen gets a little bit more airtime, even though he's getting lapped.
Look, I've been in Alan Bergen's shoes where the only time I got on camera was if I was being passed by the leader for the 15th time.
I can sympathize because one time, the only time I ever got on a race broadcast way back in my early days was because I flipped the car.
I guess Jonathan Leach's fun meter was pegged. He's decided to hang it up for the evening. Do you even want to race, John? I can say it now because I hope he's not listening. Brandon Wilcox right now has not come down for his what should be final pit stop. It looks like he wants to pad this fuel as best as he can. Now, Truth Hoke in the double nickel, he's going to come down pit road.
I think right now Wilcox is hoping for that rare caution, but it just doesn't seem like it's coming tonight.
No, and that's the thing. I mean, right now, cautions are kind of like, water in the desert. It just doesn't happen. Brendan Wilcox, now he comes down. Truth Hoke and Troy Thomas in the tray comes down. Troy in the tray. I like it.
I was about to say, what, the Yellows are like the Toronto Maple Leafs not making the Stanley Cup Finals?
That does feel weird, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I feel like the Canadians should be better at hockey than they are.
And yet again, they are lucky to make it past the first round.
It just doesn't feel right.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, the Russians are good at hockey if you scare them.
Yeah, even though they still complain about 1980.
It's fine. They're just mad because we said no more nuclear warheads.
Oh, yeah, I think they're upset about that.
Whoops.
Seems like the pit stop cycles are still going on. I believe the 8 just said over race radio he's coming in.
Yeah, he should be. Let's go on board with him. This is always an interesting transition to watch these drivers get down to pit road speed, as he's going to be the final car to come down. And do you see this from Ed Jurgen right now?
He is hauling.
31:19, sir.
Wow.
What do you do with that?
31:19, you just keep pushing it for what it's worth. This is the final run. Use the tires for what you got.
I mean, I guess. I really guess. That's all I can figure.
I mean, you got to figure there's no caution coming out at this point. You've got, by my count, 24 laps to go. You got nothing left to save. Put it all on the table.
I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just curious what we're going to see come toward the end of this race. Is, John Ross at the beginning of that pit cycle was leading Rodriguez by 5.4 seconds. He now gaps him by 6.67.
Just again, that's coming off and on pit road. He had a better entry onto pit road, and he had a cleaner exit off. And that's where he was able to pick up that 1.5 seconds that he was desperately needing to put a bigger gap down.
Having a little fun here. I was curious because I've never looked at the race from your perspective using the timing and scoring link. And I got to be honest, man, I kind of like this better than what I have.
Right. Oh, not to jinx it, but we have more cars on the lead lap.
Wow. We're definitely over 8.
Yep. More like 18.
Turns out yours truly was incorrect.
Now, unless something monstrous happens in the next 20-plus laps, that's another one in the book for me.
Trying to do something really cool here. Oh, my.
What's that?
Nothing. I'll have to tell you later. This is really cool.
Okay. We're focused up with Brandon Honeycutt currently sitting third, sitting about 10.5 seconds behind John Ross. Now, I mean, again, Brandon needed a good points run, obviously, to stay with John. But right now, John is just putting his stamp on this race. This has been a dominant fashion from start to finish.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, first off, you have to understand that John Ross is out here with a 3,000 I rating. He's got the highest I rating in the field. But I lie. Second highest I rating in the field. Brandon Honeycutt is your highest at 33.57. These guys spend a lot of time in the servers, and nobody is a slouch driver in this league. These guys just make it look a lot easier than what it really is.
Yeah, they do. And hearing those I ratings and then remembering mine is sub 1500. Yeah, that just made me feel bad.
I'm still plus 1,500. You're welcome.
Shut up.
I mean, I just make sure not to race. I mean, right now, track temperature is 105 degrees. You know, these guys have really managed to handle these cars very well, you know, over all of this time. I don't see any crazy driving. We've seen some bumping and grinding, but, you know, no more than you would see on the dance floor on a Friday night. You know, nothing egregious, and nobody was, you know, grabbing too hard.
Nothing for the bouncers to get involved in.
No. Our bouncers at this club, they like to go home and watch Roadhouse, and, you know.
Hey, what I do on my Friday night, people ain't supposed to know.
Well, Andrew Teff trying to get up here into 7th position. He's battling it out with Ed Jurgen as we work now with 17 laps to go. Folks, I dare say that this race itself from flag to flag may be less than 1 hour.
I remember a race John and I called with these guys, trucks at Vegas, that went flag to flag about 105 laps in about an hour. So I'm definitely not surprised at this, but at the same token, it's like watching a perfect game in baseball.
Yeah, and you don't want to say anything, but these guys have done so great tonight. And I mean, you know, at least for my money, I think this is fantastic.
I mean, like we said, we've had a couple of foul balls, you know, a couple, you know, close quarter contacts, but that's about it. Everything else has been, you know, right down the pipe, clean and clear.
Well, here we are with 15 laps to go. Andrew Teft, your race leader. Lee Campbell, though, he's trying to get up here just underneath the 19 of Curtis Ecker. I feel like we've been seeing a lot of Curtis Ecker tonight because he has just been, you know, out here on the racetrack battling all evening long.
Yeah, he has. And sitting inside the top 10 with that car, where a couple of times that thing should have been junked. You know, that says a lot for what he's been able to do with this car tonight.
Well, here we are at Kentucky Speedway, and you know, I cannot wrap my head around this. Kensley Smith here in the 15, he leads Leroy Koblenz in the 42. And, you know, I also want to say that it's not very often that I don't get to say Kensley Smith playoff driver, because he's not. He somehow managed to miss the playoffs this season, which to me is just shocking.
Yeah, and it's also weird not seeing him in like a Mikey paint scheme either. This is something brand new. I'm
a fan. I like something different here. This is the K's Designs Chevrolet Camaro, and it looks pretty sharp. There's a lot of these, a lot of the blues and blacks are coming into iRacing, and I don't know if everybody goes, ooh, I kind of like that scheme, and they kind of tweak it and make it their own, but you know, we see a lot of blue and black here, and I'm not mad at it.
I'm not mad either. I love how that blue on that car actually pops the way it does. And you know, speaking of cars popping, I know when I'm actually back behind the wheel eventually, and that's looking like it's going to be sooner rather than later, I'm going to be rocking some special paint jobs. You know, commemorating my 20 years behind the wheel. There's going to be a lot of platinum and emerald on my cars, so stay tuned for that. Mm-hmm.
31.182 for Ed Jurgen in the Jurgen's Lawn Care Chevrolet Camaro. And it just seems like the longer that this race goes and the more that these drivers, you know, manage to boogie around this piece, that they're getting faster, which to me says that these drivers are absorbing a lot of information, and they're translating that in real time to make the adjustments they have to make to get faster. And the only people who really aren't getting faster are John Ross and Diego Rodriguez. They're up here doing their thing, separated by 5.4 seconds still.
Yeah, and John looks like he's just out for a cruise. Yeah, he's got a couple of cars in front of him, but he'll probably get around them relatively easy. But a 31 what? For Ed, a 31 what?
182.
That's that's better than pole time here.
I don't know what to tell you. I'm not in charge of that.
That is better than the pole time, which tells me this track's cooling off more, the grip level's starting to go up, and these tires are finally starting to respond a little bit. It's a good thing they're running this race now instead of once season 2025 season 1 hits, because there's going to be a whole batch of revamped tires coming.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what that looks like, and I think that's one thing that iRacing does just about better than everybody.
Yeah. It really is. I mean, the way they did it when they rolled the trucks, the new aerodynamics of the trucks out, we saw how the trucks responded to that. And now, a whole batch of new tires coming. It'll be interesting to see how everyone, it's going to take a week or two more than likely to adapt. But, those who are strong will end up adapting to it a lot quicker.
I mean, they always say survival of the fittest. As we're officially 7 laps to go now, my goodness, it does not get much better than this from up here in the broadcast booth. That's all I can say. I mean, even looking at some of these drivers, as we look, first of all, Alan Bergen not going to be finishing dead last tonight, as he does get a chance to finish ahead of Jonathan Leach.
Bragging rights.
I would be. If I was him, I'd be walking around strutting my stuff after this race.
Jeff, the chest puffed out like he's Ric Flair.
Like a Chanticleer, the biggest rooster in the hen house.
I wouldn't get that cocky about it.
I see what you did there, huh? Proud of you.
Yeah, it looks like John Ross has just kind of settled the gap down a little bit. It's literally hovering right around, 5.3, 5.4 seconds. And he's just trading laps with Diego at this point. So we're getting ready to come up here with 4 to go. And this race has clicked off in a heartbeat.
Yeah, 5 laps to go, 4 when they come out of turn number 4. Aaron Marquis right now, if we should see that colored flag that we don't want to see, he would be your lucky dog. But right now, I feel like everybody who's laps down is the unluckiest of dogs. Alan Bergen's down 22 laps, never had a chance. But, Aaron Marquis and Troy Thomas had to be sitting there going, please, even for debris on the field.
Well, I think our friend up north, Jacques Debris, ain't coming tonight.
Look at you. That's a nice one.
I have my moments. Feel free. And I believe, as Dale once said, 1995, if I remember right, after he won at Atlanta in the fall, this is what you call an ass kicking.
You wouldn't be wrong. I mean, for a driver whose worst finish was 16th all year, otherwise he finished first, second, third, first. He's never finished, except for last week at Auto Club, away from the podium. And as the popsicle sticks go down, the white flag is in the air. We're racing back to checkers. This is really going to happen. The actual race has taken less than 1 hour. 57 minutes, 10 seconds since the green flag initially dropped here at Kentucky Speedway. And John Ross has had control of the field the entire race. He leads Diego Rodriguez and Brandon Honeycutt, who runs in third. Brendan Wilcox and Kensley Smith make up your top 5. But the story of the race right now, coming out of turn 4 and crossing the start-finish line, is John Ross in dominant fashion, bringing home the checkered flag here at the very first race of our season playoffs right now. as he gets the 44 here into victory lane.
That is putting your stamp on a season right now. This just shows how he's feeling going into the next few races. Momentum is huge, and he will have it on his side in 2 weeks at Texas.
Yeah, and I mean, to your point, first of all, we want to remind everybody that we're not here next week because, it's time to celebrate Thanksgiving and to have that attitude of gratitude. We want to thank everybody, of course, for tuning in every week, and we do that, and we believe that, and we live by that here at Sim Racing Media. But then after that, we come back to Texas Motor Speedway, the Milwaukee Mile, and actually finish the season kind of the way that we've all dreamed about it, having the Super Bowl at Daytona International Speedway.
Yeah, and as John burns it down, he's done this now 5 times, and this is just impressive tonight. First time seeing him do this personally, and that was just laying the wood to the field here.
Trying to find our race winner down here in race chat. We're going to move him on up into the waiting room. Actually, here he is with you now. Shane, I believe you have with you John Ross.
Hey, John, it's Shane in the booth. You got a copy.
I've got you, Shane.
Okay, so you came in with 4 wins. We had you pegged as the favorite for the championship run here, and you just laid a beat down on the field here tonight. How did you get that 44 dialed up like this?
This was a little bit trickier track than I think most of the mile and a halves, especially in 3 and 4, because it kind of flattens out. So I think the key tonight was really watching the right front, and we put a little bit of practice in on pit stops. Diego was pretty quick, and he was really quick on the longer runs. And so after that first run, I come in, I knew I had to be a little bit better on the tires. So I would let him gain a second and a half on me. And then I would start to kind of push it toward the end. And then I was able to make up a second and a half every time we went in and pit under green flag. So just kind of added up a little bit. And man, we're happy to start the playoffs this way.
Yeah, you definitely started on pole. You end up wrapping it up where you started. The biggest thing is this race literally took under an hour to run. How are you feeling behind the wheel right now?
Yeah, I think some, especially here on the mile and a half, it's a little bit easier. Like if you go to a place like Dover or Martinsville or Bristol, something that's really tough on you, I think a straight hour of racing, it'll start to wear the shoulders out. And, especially if you run a lot of feedback, and I do run quite a bit of feedback, but here, there are times, especially down the straightaways, you can take a little break with your hands, adjust your wrist a little bit. But I'll tell you, when you go into pit, that's when you get your drink and you stretch your hands out and get ready for another stint.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is you guys went caution free here tonight. You're off next week. You got Texas in 2 weeks under the lights. How are you feeling going in?
Texas is one of my better tracks. So I think I feel pretty confident there. And I think that the goal is to run as strong as you can these 3 races, because we have Daytona as the last race in the playoffs, and you just never know what's going to happen there.
Yeah, true wild card to end up the season. That's going to be fun to watch. Before we let you get out of here, man, who helps you on that 44 you want to thank here tonight?
Yeah, I appreciate it. All of my Sim Motion teammates, and we don't have a whole lot of them that run in this series, but certainly we have Leroy. I think he finished 6th tonight. It was his first top 10 of the season here at Racers Elite. So I want to thank him. And of course, we're able to bounce things off of each other in the chat. So I always appreciate his input, and Andrew for putting this league on. It's really a fantastic league. And I know he's already geared up for the next season. I believe it's going to be season 6. So I want to thank him. And then you guys here in the booth do a fantastic job every week. Really enjoy going back and watching it.
Well, celebrate this win, man. Enjoy the week off, and we'll see you in Texas in 2 weeks.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, John. As always, it's great to hear from our race winners, especially when they've done it in such dominant fashion. And we're going to get a chance right now to talk to our number 2 in points, and now who finishes on the second step of our podium tonight, Diego Rodriguez. Diego, it's Dave. You got me?
Yeah, I do.
Buddy, listen, strong run tonight, but you just weren't able to close the deal here with John Ross. I mean, he is so fast. What do you do out on the racetrack to even try to draw yourself closer?
There's a couple different things, just a lot of practice. But you got to know what you're doing wrong to be able to improve. So I look at a lot of telemetry, um, figure out where I'm, losing time to John. And the beginning of that race, it was a little chaotic. We had a lot of three wide racing side by side, and I got around a couple people, and I just kind of started pulling away from them all, and they never were able to catch back up to me, and it was pretty much I was just running by myself the entire night. So clean air, I was able to keep the tires in check and just maintain a lead against Brandon.
Yeah, and you did a heck of a job. It's great to see, what you folks are able to do every week on the racetrack. You know that I love watching you on a Tuesday night for Truck Series action. You know that I love watching this here on a Thursday night. But, man, what a finish you had. And, of course, we're only in the first week of the playoffs. So we've got a long way to go before we hit Daytona. Before we cut you loose tonight, who do you need to thank and who helped you get it done on the 20 team tonight?
Yeah, I kind of thank my parents, and thank you guys for putting on a really good broadcast. Andrew for hosting an amazing league. My teammates, the Outsiders, Truth, Troy Thomas, Alan Bergen, for just being there and kind of, being in the call. We're all just talking to each other. But that's really it.
All right, my friend, listen, congratulations. We'll see you in 2 weeks down there at Texas Motor Speedway.
Yep, thank you.
Well, Shane, another one in the books here in the Racers Elite Cup Series, and my God, what a barn burner this was tonight, and a clinic by John Ross.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen dominating races, watching NASCAR for 30-plus years. I haven't seen anything like this online in a very, very long time. That was impressive to watch here tonight. And like I said, he put his stamp going forward on this championship. If you want to win it, you got to go through that 44 car.
Without a doubt. Well, before we cut loose and before we get out of here, let's take one final look at our results from tonight. John Ross brings home the checkered flag in the opening race of the playoffs tonight here at Kentucky Speedway. He's joined on the podium by Diego Rodriguez and Brandon Honeycutt. Brendan Wilcox finishes in fourth with Kensley Smith rounding out your top five, as Leroy Koblenz and Curtis Ecker finish 6th and 7th. 8th position goes to Ed Yergin, while Lee Campbell and Alex Teft round out your top 10. 11th goes to Kirby Wainscott, with 12th going to Truth Hoke, while Andrew Teft, Bill Skinner, Dennis Kane, Aaron Markey, Troy Thomas, Rob Yost, Alan Bergen, and Jonathan Leach make up your top 20. And finishing dead last tonight is Shay Cox in the number 7 Ford Dark Horse Mustang. Somebody had to do it, but after only 32 laps, he was forced to put it on the hauler and beat everybody to the hot dog stand tonight, which is unfortunate, but like I said, somebody had to do it. So for myself, Dave Regal, and of course my broadcast partner extraordinaire, Mr. Shane Lake, we want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight here on Sim Racing Media. We want to thank you for welcoming us into your homes, onto your phones, however you may be listening. And of course, we want to thank all of you for, supporting us year-round. And next week, as everybody gathers around the table, make sure to have that attitude of gratitude and share that with your families and your friends and whoever you're going to be celebrating a day of thanks with. So tomorrow and every day as you walk down the road of life, please be grateful and don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.
Until we meet again in 2 weeks at Texas, happy Thanksgiving and take care.